So early in the 2000s, I was fresh out of PA school, and I was having some stress at work, nervousness, just typical. I think in hindsight, just kind of nerves from being a new, PA working in a medical environment and just sort of getting used to all the stress and responsibility that came with that. And so one of the physicians actually that I worked for prescribed Xanax for me. I was feeling sick at work one day and he said, "Oh, that's just, stress and anxiety. Here, take this." It was, I think, zero point 0.5 milligrams or 0.25, I'm not sure, and just on a PRN basis. So I started taking it. And like Christy, shortly after starting it, in hindsight, got adverse effects. I believe I was having interdose withdrawal, intolerance very fast, but I didn't put, two and two together as fast as Christy did. Within weeks, I actually believed that something was wrong with me, that I had an anxiety disorder or, I was developing new severe mental health type stuff. So I did seek psychiatric care. I started to see a psychiatrist. I was also having like depression, which I think was from the Xanax. And so when I went to the psychiatrist, of course, they misdiagnosed a lot of the adverse effects that I was having as so-called mental illness. And then I stayed in psychiatric care for the next 5 years. And basically they added more and more medications, and each new medication came with its own set of side effects and adverse effects, until basically I was like a chemical soup. I was on so many drugs and sicker than I'd ever been in my entire life. So after the Xanax, I was put on Klonopin. So that's two benzodiazepines at the same time. And the rationale given at the time was that, I could take the longer acting Klonopin 3 times a day. And then the Xanax went in between.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was taking 5 doses of benzo. And then at night, she added Ambien for sleep.
Man.
Which is like a benzo.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I also got put on Seroquel for sleep, which if you read some of the literature is pretty much, contraindicated. You're not supposed to use that for sleep. Remeron, because I got put on Adderall because the benzos made me so depressed, but I couldn't tolerate SSRIs or SNRIs. I would have like some kind of reaction to them. Then
they were treating one side effect with another drug, right?
Yeah. And so because the Adderall made me not hungry and I lost all this weight, then they gave me Remeron to sort of stimulate my appetite. I mean, yeah, it was just like,
vicious cycle.
I think my brain just didn't know what to do. It was, stimulated and then it was tranquilized and, so I got really, really sick. And my father is a physician and he started to notice that something was wrong, that I wasn't myself at all. I was having, mood changes, and he happened to just find a journal article in Outside Magazine that was written by a guy named Matt Samet. And Matt told his story in this magazine. And my dad suspected that was what was happening to me and gave me the article, and I read it. And immediately I knew what was, after 5 years of chasing my tail with all these pills and doctors, because like Christy, I had gone to and had all kinds of medical testing. I had, upper and lower GI scopes. I was having steroids injected into my wrists because I was having excruciating like tendonitis and joint pains, which I think was also from benzodiazepine intolerance and interdose withdrawal. I mean, all kinds of doctors and specialists, dermatologists, because I had rashes everywhere. And that, Matt's article was like my light bulb moment. And
thank God that he wrote about his story.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason I even tell mine, because I feel like if Matt wouldn't have told his, I don't know what would have happened to me.